This is Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 15. You know, considering that when this show first started, it was Nelly and Steven that were like, I think they've got my heart. What her name was. And she was married to a guy called Luke. Whenever she was speaking about him and stuff, she'd be like, oh, my heart. Come on, Abigail. Like, get to the punch, Abigail. Like, Abigail, come on, man. They're both just like, this couldn't come at a worse time, really. You know, the more I talk about it with people, I mean, I would have left anyway. This narrative about I was calling the situation, it's like the situation rocked up a chair and it's like, I'm calling you out situation, yeah, you are the effing idiot. We all know that you were not talking about the situation, yeah? What I did not rate him for at all, even though I can kind of understand in that you probably just didn't want to be around someone that was doing you nothing, but you know, she got bit on the face by a dog and then had to go to hospital in Bangkok. I would hope whoever I'm with, friend, stranger on the street, husband, I'm not having to ask and beg you to come and be with me. Welcome, people, thems. So nothing don't sweet you. Leah asked her if she wanted a cup of tea with some honey in it. Well, I don't know if I don't want a cup of tea, but whatever. Yeah, that's great. If you don't put down your ponytail and come make your own drink, then all right, then safe. I'm not making you nothing else. Ungrateful. This is Married at First Sight, Season 10, Episode 15. And I quite liked how I did it last time, where I just went through couple by couple, as opposed to kind of trying to remember exactly how the show went in order. So this episode, we see the honeymoons of the three new couples. I don't think we really see much of the long-standing ones. We do see Leah and Leigh. We see like a very brief clip of Bailey and Rebecca making the bed. I'm not quite sure what significance that had, but we saw that. Oh no, sorry, duh. So we see Steven and Nelly. So Steven and Nelly, Nelly's family come over for in-laws week, and we see Leah and Leah's as well. Starts off with John and Abigail. Might as well start off with them too. And I said it in my last one that they were the ones that really made me go, oh. And I feel like, you know, considering that when this show first started, it was Nelly and Steven that were like, I think they've got my heart. Anyone remember that? I can't remember what her name was, but she was in there, and she was blonde, and she was married to a guy called Luke, and she wasn't attracted to him. And like whenever she was speaking about him and stuff, she'd be like, oh, my heart. Honestly, he'll always be in my heart. Does anyone remember her? Anyway, but it's funny because ever since like hearing her say that, like, whenever I mention the word heart now, I always end up saying it like that. My heart. I hope she's doing well. Anyway, so they've gone on their honeymoon to, I think it's the Seychelles, I think they went to. And the exact same energy that we saw that was kind of happening and manifesting in front of our face at the wedding is kind of the same thing that we're seeing on the honeymoon. And, you know, they just seem to be like really kind of tactile with each other, you know, really happy to be there. And, you know, he's made up. He's like the cat that's got the cream, but she's also really made up as well. And then eventually after, I can't remember what this was before or after them doing the whole massage thing. I think it must have been after. Sorry, I think this was before, but she ends up telling him about her past, basically. So they end up digging a bit deeper, and she tells him about the fact that she was seeing someone and that she didn't know that they were married until the wife called her up. Now, I don't know if anyone else was watching this kind of felt this way when she was telling this story, but did you not think that she was like, and look, and before I say this, yeah, like, you know, it obviously was a traumatic thing for her to talk about. So I completely understand that. But is anyone else, come on, Abigail, like, get to the punch, Abigail, like, Abigail, come on, man. Like, I thought she was gonna be like, you know, that somebody was dead. Like, I mean, obviously we kind of know already, but I just felt for poor John, like, because she was really struggling to get it out. And I guess there's two things with that. One, I was just like, just tell the story. But then I did think, I wonder if she feels, because she's mentioned before that now she's kind of like lost trust in herself, like picking people. But I wonder if she's like embarrassed about it. Because I was like, the way you're longing out, tell him what happened already. I mean, and, you know, and we'd been seeing each other for a really long time. And oh my god, like, so I guess as a viewer, I was like, just get there. But I guess if it was difficult for her to talk about, maybe it was hard for her to get through, and she's maybe trying to keep herself from crying, maybe. But yeah, the fact that like John immediately like understood how difficult that must have been, because obviously someone that's lied to you, like day in, day out, you know, you've been intimate with them, and they've gone back to their missus, gone back to their wife or whatever, gone back to the man, whoever it might be. Like, it's going to make you feel stupid. It's going to make you feel that I didn't see it coming. You know, you've grown attached to this person. There might even be a period after you found out that you now miss this person. You know, they've done that. So the fact that John absorbed all of that for her and took it all in and was like, I hate the fact that you were ever made to feel that way. And, you know, I want to show you, not just through my words, but my actions, that like, you know, you're in safe hands with me. Well, I felt anyway, got her to really feel comfortable in sharing that. And the fact that she said that she feels that she trusts him so much already and that he trusts her. It was just, again, man, it's just awesome when you're watching something unfold like that and you're just like, wow, could these be the couple that have just been so keen and you know, open to meeting the right person, and this actually helps them do that. Then they have the massage and stuff, and he's massaging her, and then he kind of, you know, swings himself over the table like a cowboy, to quote her words. And then she's like, yeah, you know, you're really good with your hands. And then they swap over, and she's giving him a massage, and you know, she's staring into his eyes, and like, you know, I just love being able to do this, and then gives him a kiss and that, and he's just like, yo, I can't believe this sexy woman is touching me. So they're both wanting to kind of explore that more intimate side of things as well. So, you know, they're really good, and I've got really high hopes for them because they both seem like really nice people. Now, having said that, I did think that about Nelly and Steven, didn't I? So let me not speak too soon and curse them. But, you know, I don't know. I would be shocked. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if John turned out to have even one shred of any kind of Steven streak. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine him, blue-eyed John, happy, chill, blue-eyed John, that turns around and starts effing and a bombing and a C-bombing like Steven did? Like, I can't imagine that at all. Plus, you know, you'd have her mum to deal with. So then it goes to, I think, Nelly and Steven. They're both just like, this couldn't come at a worse time, really, because, you know, everything's been terrible. And it has been, I mean, you know, the more I talk about it with people, I mean, I would have left anyway. Sorry, I don't need no redemption arc. I don't like. I get it. You've come this far already. You had a great time in Jamaica, but I don't know that level of disrespect. I don't know where there's any coming back from that. And then to know that you're gonna meet my family members who are even more big on respect than I am. I don't know how that's gonna go. So they're kind of preparing for it and stuff, and he's like, I'm not gonna shy away from anything, which is kind of commendable, but whatever. So then her brother and her sister come over. They're so happy to see her and stuff. How's everything been? And I did think, and this is probably the only thing I can say for in kind of Steven's defense slightly, but to be honest, I kind of understand as well. I did feel as though that Nelly, based on the edit anyway, I did think that Nelly was very quick to jump into how terrible things have been. So, you know, yeah, we went on the honeymoon, everything was great. But then we got back here and everything just went to crap. Like, you know, I broke my rib, you know, like he was the last person to come home, even though other people came to come and check on me. And from that alone, they were like, well, that's red flags.
Whoa, hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up.
But so you broke your rib and your husband felt that he didn't need to come home and look after you. And he's like, yeah, you know, I've held my hands up, you know, things were going on with my stepdad, you know, she wasn't my priority at that time and stuff. And I think they were kind of like, okay. And then she was like, and then we're going to get into a bit of a to-do the next day about it all when I was trying to speak to him. And he's like, yeah, you know, I kind of muttered under my breath, you know, you effing idiot, like, and they, well, with the dramatic music, and they were like, what? And he's like, you know, I guess I was talking about the situation, but it kind of came out that it's more directed at her. And again, like, Nelly's like, just own it. Just own it so we can move on. Do you know what I mean? Because this narrative about I was calling the situation, it's like the situation rocked up a chair and it's like, I'm calling you out situation. Yeah, you are the effing idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like, and look how much trouble you've got me in. We all know that you were not talking about the situation. Yeah. We all know. Like, we all saw the footage. We've all been in that situation. Even like when, say your parents are cussing you, yeah, and you're just hoping and praying that they didn't hear you cussing underneath your breath. Do you know what I mean? Because anyhow they heard you cussing, I hofa. I beg your pardon. Do you know what I mean? When you see that door fling open, I'm a what? So, we've all been in that situation where you've muttered things under your breath. But then he doubled down on the muttering when she was like, you up? And he goes, I said, so you can't say it was a situation and that you were just talking about the situation because you really weren't. Like, because you would have said this situation is ridiculous. This is one idiotic situation. Do you know what I mean? You didn't say any of that. So they're like, yeah, that's not cool. But if I'm honest, I think their reaction was kind of tame because I know I would be giving up blue murder. I know my mum, my aunties, there's no way, sorry. Like, if our opinion means anything, pick up your stuff, pack up your stuff, and we're going on. Because I'm not having you stopping up in the air, yeah, with someone's going to F and blind at you from the second week. Pack up your things and tell the producers you're going. You know what I mean? No, I don't hear nothing else. So I'm kind of surprised that it was as subdued as it was, but I guess time will tell. And I'm keen to see what it's like when his family comes to visit. And, whether they admonish him any further or not. Reiss and Leisha. What I will say is this ended a lot better than I expected it was going to from the beginning of this episode, or that I expected it to go from when I saw them last time, because I didn't even give them any time really last time I spoke about it. Leisha, I don't know, man. Like, some of the stuff that she was saying to him, I can understand why he was like, you are doing my nutting. Like, because I was like, I'm not sure he's even attracted to her, but clearly he is, because they've been intimate and stuff. Which I guess you can be intimate with someone with not being overtly attracted to them. But I kind of got from the end of the episode that there is an attraction there. But I think anybody would be put off by the level of the question. It's like that thing from Friends.
I thought you said those jokes were funny. Joke. Well, maybe it was all of your questions.
What about my questions?
The sheer volume. It was like flying with the Riddler.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that another joke?
Was that another question?
I love Friends. I actually love Friends. So I did feel like he was getting that Riddler treatment. It's just like, man, you need to chill out because these questions, do you see yourself falling for me? Falling for you in 48 hours? Like, and counting. No, I don't. And this kind of questioning is definitely making that a harder option. Do you see me in your future, the 5-year plan? And again, I get it. And I think she explained, I think once she was able to explain, I think he got it a bit more. What I did not rate him for at all, even though I can kind of understand in that you probably just didn't want to be around someone that was doing you nothing. But, she got bit on the face by a dog, right? And then had to go to hospital in Bangkok. Now, I don't know about you, all right? But I would hope whoever I'm with, friend, stranger on the street, like, husband, I'm not having to ask and beg you to come and be with me. So whilst I'm in a hospital, I mean, he did say it was a scratch, you were fine, but that's not the point. I had to sit there, I had to speak to people, potentially there might be a language barrier, I don't know how long I'm going to be there for. Everyone knows how awful it is waiting in a hospital waiting room. Like, it's just so long with all the sick people and that. And yeah, it's not ideal, it's not sexy, but to know that you wouldn't just offer to be there, that is a red flag to me. Like, I don't understand where else you going to be? I mean, are there some dolphins that you need to go and dive with? Like, is there some mangoes that you need to go eat? Why are you not already in the taxi? Why are you not already there? Like, yeah, I thought she had a great point with that. And the fact that he kept going, I don't know why we're talking about it. We're talking about it because you didn't get it. You didn't get it. You weren't. I've had to. I came in the end, didn't I? Oh, well, that's lovely then, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like, you know, have you ever been invited somewhere as an afterthought? Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, you can come too if you want. No, it's okay. No, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I'll come to your dry meal anyway. It's that feeling of, why did I have to ask you to do something that would have just come absolute second nature to me? And I don't think that's having to be like a busybody, overtly caring. That's just a standard thing, isn't it? So, you know, I think he eventually got it, but he still took it as a, you know, whoa, with the constant bickering. And I hate that. And I don't want to use, because I don't want to throw the word gaslighter out there like lightly, but it is a gaslightery thing to do, isn't it? It's like, you've done something, like, I'm not upset about the thing that you've done, like, me then talking to you about it, you're making me feel bad about talking about it and making out like, actually, if this continues, yeah, then I can't see myself hanging around. So me holding you accountable for something that I think is subpar, you're not going to get vexed at me about it. It's a bit like a shoe on the other foot, with her not understanding that, like, you know, you are really driving him mad. I think going to hospital and illnesses and stuff, I think that's like a line in the sand. I think that's a different type of thing. Like, he should have just gone anyway. And that's like, it's not just chivalrous, it's just a good human thing to do. But I think, like, if he was like, I need some time away, I'm gonna go do some boxing in the gym, like, I need to be away from you. If she was then upset with him for being away from her, bearing in mind that, like, she's just peddling him just with the questions, I can fully understand, like, him going like, you're now mad at me for wanting to be away from you, but look at the reason as to why. You know, I think that would also be quite gaslightery as well. So, you know, I think they managed to find a way to understand each other somehow. And they had that comment. And I thought it was quite cute when because they were on the boat and he was like, this is just too much. And then she tried to explain, I think, a little bit as to why she's asking those questions. And I think he kind of understood a bit more and kind of gave her a kiss on the nose. He was like, oh, how's your nose doing? And she's like, oh, do you want to have a look at it? And as they leant in, he gave her a little kiss on the... I was like, oh, that's kind of cute still. That's kind of cute, man. And then since that point, they just continued to have a good time. And, you know, it just seemed more chilled, you know, with the boxing. And I was worried for a second when she was like, so do you think your kid's going to be a boxer? You're going to make him a boxer? But he took the question in good stride and stuff. I did think it was interesting that he was like, oh, my girl kid isn't going to be a boxer, but, you know, she can do ballet. It's 2025, man. Like, I've a family member of mine, his daughter, like, he's got involved in practically everything, musical stuff, dance things, martial arts, and her confidence, like, is incredible. I mean, look, it's his kid. I guess he can have whatever vision for his child that he wants, I suppose. But it's a shame that you would, like, kind of limit it to just pink jobs and blue jobs. But whatever. So that's them two. Then it goes to Leah and Leigh, and they both have people. I'm sorry, you can't convince me to like Leigh, man. Again, I'm sure all her brethren and all her friends and stuff that know her personally, again, I'm sure she's lovely. But how she comes across on the TV, I'm just over it. I'm over the mute face, the stale face, the me just smell something tink face. Like, you know, poor Leah. Like I said, I know my friend is more in the Leigh camp than the Leah camp, but I think that's because he finds her more attractive. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure he'll tell me no. But I'm just like, nothing don't sweet you. Nothing don't sweet you. Leah asked her if she wanted a cup of tea with some honey in it. Well, I don't know if I don't want a cup of tea, but whatever. Yeah, that's great. If you don't put down your ponytail and come make your own drink, then all right, then safe. I'm not making you nothing else. Ungrateful. So I'm like, I'm not seeing it, and I haven't seen it from the get-go that she's even remotely interested, because she hasn't got this mask energy. But for me, I can see that kind of maskish kind of vibe. Like, she's not like a girly girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's pretty and she does like a hair and that kind of stuff. And in that sense, like, I guess that's different to like a buzz cut. Do you know what I mean? Like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she hasn't got that energy. And look, I'm not saying that she has to be attracted to Leah, but I do think she should be nice. And I don't get the vibe that she is. And what's interesting to me is that her friends come there and practically said the same thing. So they're around the table. And Leah's recounting this conversation that she would have had with either Rebecca directly or someone regarding like her types, and Rebecca might have been there. And then she was saying that, yeah, usually my type is someone who, is got, brunette, like gym body, like go gym, a gym girl. And then Lee's like, hang on a minute. So this conversation actually happened then, did it? And Leah's like, well, yeah. She's like, well, you lied then. And she's like, I didn't lie. She's like, the question was whether I said that Rebecca was my type, and that conversation never happened. But I said that someone who is brunette and whatever. So, but the thing is, though, you said to me that conversation never actually happened. This is the first time that I'm finding out that you actually had this conversation. And she's like, yeah, but that didn't happen. And she said to her friend, she's like, just to be clear, like nothing's happened or happening with this person. And the friend, just stony face, looking at her, almost like she's like, oh yeah, so you've been sleeping around in that bed, have you? Been sleeping. Like that was the look they were giving her. And Leah's friend was just like, this is just a bit crazy. She needs to stop. It was going around in circles. Then they eventually like go to separate rooms and stuff. And Leah's talking to her friend, and Lee's talking to her friend. And Leigh again is saying, look, there's obviously feelings there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have my feelings. I wouldn't be in my feelings right now about it all. And the friend's kind of saying, yeah, that you wouldn't get you back up if there were no feelings there at all. So she's like, I just think that Leah needs to be a bit more appreciative of my feelings and stuff, and be a bit more supportive. Because obviously that spark and physical attraction is not there, but there's obviously something there, which I just think is a lot of crap. By the way, like, I mean, again, I'm just giving my opinion. It could be her gospel. Who's to say, right? But it doesn't take much to be pleasant to someone, and it doesn't take much to kind of give back a little bit as well. Again, unless they've edited this to make you look like Thanos itself, I don't understand as to why you're so miserable. I just don't get it. And like making that whole mountain out of a molehill, like it's almost like the biggest thing for you is the fact that you don't have this physical attraction. But you can't keep harping on about that. So now you have to look for something else to make a mountain out of a molehill about. Because it's the same conversation. Like she's already told you, there is nothing going on with Rebecca, and yet you've managed to make a whole blown argument like in front of your friends and your family about it. Like it's so pointless, because that's just not the case. Allegedly, anyway, from what we've seen. And then Leah's talking to her friend, and her friend's like, mate, I just don't know what you're doing, because I don't feel like she's giving you anything. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so either. And Leah's already said this. Like, it's not the first time that Leah said this. So for me, I'm like, done this dance, man. Done off the dance. The same way that Julie Ruth and Devani need to just put leave on that piece of card. The same way that Sarah and Dee need to put leave on that piece of card. Leah needs to put leave on that piece of card, because why are you saying, Leigh, if you're not attracted to her yet, you don't think you're ever going to be, put the girl out of misery and just allow the thing. Allow it. Leo and April. And yeah, man, they're another couple that again, I got that kind of vibe from, and I've just really enjoyed each other's company. They seem like the cut from similar cloth. And it's funny because I said that they reminded me of John and Abigail in terms of how great their connection was. But I think where Abigail and John are already soaring, April and Leo are struggling a little bit, because they've got that natural banter and that natural flirty, and she's clearly already seen hot dog sausage, yeah? They're focused on that so much, or at least he has, and not really dug underneath. I mean, I did think there was one part where she was asking questions about, because she already said, like, look, I feel as though the physical thing is there, but like we're just scratching the surface. It's just very surface level. So she's like, I want to get a bit deeper. So when they were outside having a cup of whatever, and she's asking him about like, his previous relationships and stuff, and if that has then shaped how he is in future ones and what he might be bringing into it. I was like, they must have heavily edited this to make him literally say, yeah, anything from those relationships will be brought into this relationship. Yeah. Don't know. Because it reminded me of the dude from Little Britain. You know what I mean? I was like, there's no way he's literally just said yes, all these things, and just given nothing back. Like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like he's that much of a wall. But I guess she wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't true. So there's got to be some element of truth in it, even if it's not as, as edited as that was. And he just seems oblivious, because she's like, I'm really struggling with the level of depth of conversation. And then when they're having their final meal, he's like, everything seems perfect. I've got no issues. How about you? And she's like, yeah, I think it's been weird and wonderful. you know, and then she explains the whole thing about the, you know, the lack of depth and stuff. And then he tries to say, oh, but there hasn't really been an opportunity for us to really kind of dig any deeper. And she's like, I disagree. Music change, tone change, everything. I disagree. I think that's factually incorrect. I feel as though that actually the only thing that we've had is time. Yeah, we've been going here and doing there, but we've been together the whole time. So at any point, we could have had a conversation that was deeper than how big was the cheese wheel that you wheeled down the hill. That's a great story, but that's not going to tell me more about you. And it's funny that when she obviously got a little bit sterner with it and was like, you know, you're a lovely guy. Like, it kind of felt like the letting down speech. Listen, it's not you, it's me. You're a lovely guy. I think he kind of pooed himself a little bit and was like, oh, I don't know what I need to fix up. And then when he started to explain as to this alter ego thing, and how it kind of shields him from getting too vulnerable, like I think she bought into that really quite quickly, to be honest. I'm not saying it's not true. Probably is a bit of a facade that he's putting on. But I did think that, because she's like, you know, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. I was like, from just that little piece alone, that's enough to say, yep, it's progress. I guess it is progress. But you know, I'd wanna dig into that. Like, so where does that come from then? Like, why is that? Why do you have this facade? When did that start? Where did it come from? Like, again, not in a Leisha way, but in a way that fosters deeper level of understanding, not just from, you know, how big and girthy the hot dog is. I mean, I want to know about you. So I'm still hopeful for them now, because that natural charisma and chemistry, I think, is difficult to find. Like, and I think if they've got that, and it's just a case of getting to know each other more on a deeper level, like, you know, I think he'd be happy to do that from what I've seen so far. So yeah, man, there wasn't too much more to report on this episode than that, but I think the next episode looks juicy, like the commitment ceremony. And I'm confused because it looks as though that Leash, like, so you've got the new couples that are coming in, and everyone's like, oh my God, who are you? And it looks like that Leisha has made a terrible impression on the group, in that apparently from the clip that she was talking to some guy on the plane, well, two things. Coming into the dinner, she told Reiss not to hold her effing hand, and then they get talking about, oh, she was talking to some guy on the plane, and she's just like, you know, but at the end of the day, she's like, you know, it's perfectly fine to talk to other people and stuff, and it looks as though that she's lost the room because they're all like, no, whoa. And Reiss is like, I felt disrespected. But did anyone else find that really odd, bearing in mind that she's been the one that's been practically wanting to suck his toe the whole time, and now that she's got back on the plane, she's talking to like you said, he was practically perfect and perfect for you. So why are you talking to anybody else? Why are you talking to anybody else that enough to make him feel disrespected? Because, you know, if you're sat on a plane talking to someone, like, I think that's perfectly, like, I'm a very sociable person. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna not talk to someone because I'm with my partner. Like, if I was excluding you, yeah, and it's just me, no, I'm in the middle and I'm talking to whoever it is, and I'm like, well, that's a bit different, because do you not see me sat here? Do you not know the fact that we're back on the honeymoon that we've had together? And you got your back, you just turn your back? That'd be a problem. But, you know, if we're all conversating and talking and stuff, like, I don't see what the issue is. So I'm keen to find out exactly what happened with that. But clearly, you know, whatever happened was enough to make him feel away. And she doesn't feel like it is any kind of way. And I find that funny, because when she was talking about how she felt and wanted him to understand, why are you not going to understand how he feels? I don't get that. And then we also see that Sarah has another bit of a meltdown. Sarah and Dean have another meltdown, because I think one of the new people asked her, I think it is Leisha, that's asking if there's any spark there, and she's like, no. And then Dean gets upset, and I'm like, I don't know about you guys, yeah, but my tears have evaporated. Like, the tear ducts refuse to fall down. I can't feel sorry for Dean anymore. Your brethren came to your house this week and said, you are getting mugged off, mate. I'm not going to feel bad for someone saying I'm not attracted to you. Like, I feel like I'm just beating the drum here, but I keep saying the same thing. There is no, like, are you attracted to everybody? Look how many dates you've been on that have not worked for one reason or another. Look how many people you were initially attracted to and then went off. Look how many people you were never attracted to them from the very beginning. to me, that is a situation with Dean. Like, not even just from a physical perspective, like his characteristics for me, at least anyway, would not warrant me to want, like, you know, a furthering of the dating process. I mean, it just wouldn't. Again, I'm sure there is someone out there for him, because there is someone out there for everyone. And, you know, I wish you all the best. I really do. But I'm not going to be sat here being beholden, telling people there's a spark and you've got a knee. I've given you my knee. You've been rubbing up that knee good. That is not a spark. That's dull, if anything. There's no spark there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no, so I don't feel bad that she said there's not a spark, but I do feel as though if they don't write leave, then they are in it for the wrong reasons, because why else would you put yourself through it? You know, you as a man that's like, I don't want to be disrespected ever again. That can't happen again. You are on TV at the moment allowing yourself to be disrespected because she doesn't feel that way. You know, and I don't know, man. I know in Aladdin, yeah, he was seen as the street rat, wasn't he? And he was like, I'm going to get the princess and stuff. And, you know, it was amazing that he eventually did that. But he went through some trials and tribulations first. Do you know what I mean? Having to pretend he was a prince, having to beat off the old bad man, wicked Jafar. Do you know what I mean? Like, having to then lose all of his riches and all that stuff. And then, like, you know, it all went good in the end with the Disney movie, bruv. 2025 is not a Disney movie. For the ones that have got lucky, like your Johns and your Abigails and your Maeve and Joes, and, you know, like, and hopefully still Leo and April, you know, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? But that has not been everyone's story. And at one point or another, you have to then be real and be like, what is in this for me? Because at the moment, like, to me, as I said, I feel the tide's turning a little bit in that you've got to be held to be accountable to some degree for your own happiness too. And, you know, where it's not going to come from someone. You should be forthright enough and acutely aware enough when that vibe's not there. So let's see what happens next week, but tomorrow. But I'd love to know what you guys thought of this episode, and what do you think of the new couples? And do you think the ones that should say no and leave are going to say no and leave? Julia Ruth, I'm looking at you. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you did enjoy this, then please drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be great. Thank you very much. And if you do want access to my reactions before they come to YouTube, then please do head over to my Patreon, which is a great way to help support the channel, and it's a great way to connect with me more as well. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.